all the duties of that office according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to the board. I'll sign both copies and return them to you. Thank you. The election of officers. I'll open the floor for nominations. You can nominate, any board member can nominate any person, including themselves, to be president. A second is not needed for the nomination. When the nominations have, we've reached all the nominations, I will ask for a motion and a second to close the nominations. If there's more than one nomination, I will call each board member and they will name their nomination. If there's only one, you just say yes or no. And if no one is nominated on the first pass, we will try again until we get a nomination. With that, I will ask for nominations for president.
I'd like to nominate Wayne Dunn.
Mr. Donor, nominate Mr. Dunn. Are there any nominations for president? Okay. Can I have a nomination? Can I have a motion to close the nomination for president?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Carrazza?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Arlen?
Yes.
Ms. Palsek?
Yes.
Ms. Schuman?
Yes.
Mr. Donor?
Yes.
Okay, the nominations are unanimous. Mr. Dunn can now take over the meeting. Welcome, Mr. Dunn, as president.
So I'll now move to nominations for Vice President of High Point Regional High School Board of Education. May I have a motion of nomination?
Nominate Gilton,
Mr. Minkwitz, is this the same rules? Do we have to have a
Yes,
second now?
same rule. No, you don't need a second for nomination for vice president as well.
All right, so we have a nomination of Mr. Dona for Vice President. Are there any other nominations for Vice President? Seeing no other nominations, may I have a motion to close nominations for Vice President?
Motion to close.
Second. And second. We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call on that?
All right, you know what, I did a roll call to close the nomination last time. I didn't do a roll call for, not for the president. So the motion was to close the nomination.
Oh.
Can I take a roll call for president to make official?
Certainly. Just, yeah, so to be clear, we're now
Right.
back to the vote on.
Right, because it says roll call for president under the roll call boxes right here. So just to be clear that we're doing the correct procedure. Mr. Carrazza
Yes.
for Mr. Dunn. Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Ms. Arlen.
Yes.
Ms. Palsek.
Yes.
Ms. Schuman.
Yes.
Mr. Donor.
Yes.
Thank you. Now
So now we're back to Vice-
just closing the motion.
closing the
for
motion for Vice President.
Mr. Carrazza.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Ms. Arlen.
Yes.
Ms. Palsek.
Yes.
Ms. Schuman.
Yes.
Mr. Donor.
Yes.
Now we can vote on Vice President. Mr. Carrazza.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Ms. Arlen.
Yes.
Ms. Palsek.
Yes.
Ms. Schuman.
Yes.
Mr. Donor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Small stuff. We got through it. Okay, I'm going to ask Mr. Minkwitz if you could do a roll call, attendance roll call. I believe that's up next.
Yes. Mr. Conforth is not here. Mr. Carrazza.
Present.
Mr. Dunn.
Here.
Ms. Arlen.
Here.
Mr. Klein is not here. Ms. Orsi is not here. Ms. Palsek.
Here.
Ms. Schuman.
Here.
Mr. Donor.
Here.
Okay. All right, with roll call completed, we actually have on the agenda for an executive session. I'm going to recommend that if we decide to hold this, we move this to the end of the agenda, so as not to inconvenience anybody in the public in attendance, either in person or virtually. We'll proceed through the remainder of the agenda, and if we see need fit for an executive session at the end of it, we will do so.
So you're making a motion or you need a motion?
I don't think I need a motion to change the order of the agenda. So with that, we move to the public comments, first public comments section of the evening on agenda items only. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, we'll open the public comments for agenda items only at this time. Each speaker should state his or her name and address. You will have 3 minutes to address the board, which will be timed by myself. We will limit this section to no longer than 45 minutes. Please be respectful and mindful that your comments are being recorded. And if there are any attendees first time virtually, we do have a method for comments to be submitted on our virtual platform to an email address, I believe that's correct?
Yes.
That is posted on the virtual portal. So if there are any comments in the room, please feel free to step to the podium. If none, I'll ask to see if we have hardly anything on our virtual platform, no comments there. So I'll ask for a motion to close public comments.
Motion.
Second, any comments? Seeing none? Actually, I'm going to do a voice call on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this public comments closed. We move to the appointments section of the evening. We haven't previously discussed any of these, so we're going to do some of this on the fly. The first is a recommendation that the board appoints a person as delegate to the New Jersey School Boards Association. I'm going to request that I be placed there as the delegate, and then for the next motion, we'll open that up for an alternate delegate. So I'm going to make a recommendation that the board appoints Wayne Dunn as delegate to the New Jersey School Boards Association.
Second?
Any comments, discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Peraza,
Yes.
Ms. Ireland,
Yes.
Ms. Dodona,
Yes.
Ms. Schuman,
Yes.
Ms. Palasek,
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes. Second appointment is a recommendation that the board appoints someone as the alternate delegate to the New Jersey School Boards Association. I guess we need to make a motion before we can discuss it. Actually, no, I'm just going to ask if there's any volunteers that we can put in there. So basically, if you're not unfamiliar with this, there's a delegate assembly twice a year that's held. Representatives of New Jersey school boards throughout the state are welcome to attend and vote on motions that basically decide the direction of New Jersey School Boards Association and what they are looking to do in that current year. I attended one delegate assembly last year, so
Play an alternate if you want to, but I know you're good at attending those things.
no, it's great to have. You're able to have, each board is able to have 2 delegates attend.
Okay.
However, I believe if both attend, there's only 1 vote that's accepted. So, if no other interest, I would like to put Dodona on as the alternate delegate. So, may I make the motion then that it's recommended the board appoints Gail Dodona as alternate delegate to the New Jersey School Boards Association?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Dodona,
Yes.
Mr. Peraza,
Yes.
Ms. Ireland,
Yes.
Ms. Palasek,
Yes.
Ms. Schuman,
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes. Okay, next appointments are related to the Sussex County School Boards Association. That meets roughly monthly somewhere in the county. I don't recall who were the delegates. I believe I was at least one of them because I was the outgoing vice president of legislation for the county school boards. Again, I would like to make a motion, I guess that number 3 is recommendation that the board appoints Wayne Dunn as delegate to the Sussex County School Boards Association.
Second?
Any comments? Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Crosser.
Yes.
Ms. Ireland.
Yes.
Ms. Palsek.
Yes.
Ms. Schuman.
Yes.
Mr. Dona.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes. All right, thank you all. And then the 4th is a recommendation for an alternate delegate. Throw your hat in the ring there, Mr. Donegan, or anyone else?
Come on, anybody else?
I know, Ms. Schuman, you've attended a couple virtually.
What?
So to be clear, the attendance of the meetings is open to any board member.
Right.
I'm not even sure what the delegates actually get you. But it's something we're required to do. I believe to vote in some of the Sussex County school boards.
I mean, I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is
He wants to nominate somebody who's not here, yeah.
I recommend, I think Mr. Klein would like this.
I won't do that, Mr. Klein. It is recommended the board appoints Gail Tadona as alternate delegate to the Sussex County School Boards Association. I'll make that motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion, comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Ms. Ireland.
Yes.
Ms. Palsek.
Yes.
Ms. Schuman.
Yes.
Mr. Dona.
Yes.
Mr. Crosser.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes. All right, number 5 is the one that most people don't want to touch. So it's the recommendation that the board appoint someone to be our representative to the Sussex County Ed Services Commission.
Oh, I did that last year.
Were there?
You did? Oh, good. Yeah, that's right. Yes, you can do it. Good.
I'll do it if you need some.
Good.
Okay.
Excellent.
Is it monthly or what is?
No, it's just like once a
Once a year. And should the occasion arise, sorry,
That's right, no.
when the meeting is scheduled and the delegate is unavailable, the superintendent can serve in their stead. I've done that before.
Mrs. Anderson used to go to this for
Yes.
years, and when she left the board, we have tossed it around a little bit. So I'll make the motion. It is recommended that the board appoints Elizabeth Schuman as a representative to the Sussex County Educational Services Commission. May I have a second? Second. Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Ms. Palsek.
Yes.
Ms. Schuman.
Yes.
Ms. Dona.
Yes.
Mr. Crosser.
Yes.
Ms. Ireland.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes. Okay. With that, maybe we can run through the next one pretty quickly. All right, I'll move 6 separately. Is a recommendation the board declares its committee structure as follows. Buildings and grounds, curriculum, finance and instruction, personnel and policy, transportation and athletics, security, IT and health as needed, negotiations as needed, public relations as needed, and long-term planning as needed. I'll make that motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Any comments or discussion on committee structure? Seeing none, roll call please.
Ms. Schuman.
Yes.
Mr. Dona.
Yes.
Mr. Crosser.
Yes.
Ms. Ireland.
Yes.
Ms. Palsek.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes. Item 7, whereas Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 of the Public Law 1975 requires certain public bodies to comply with the provisions of Section 1 of said act, our proposed meeting schedule is as follows, and I'm not going to read all of those dates. Just please note, I believe there was a correction in March.
Yes, I reviewed the election calendar, and we would not be able to have a meeting on the 28th because the tentative budget needs to be in before that.
Very good. Right, we talk that now. We don't have to reschedule a meeting. So I'll make that motion number 7. May I have a second? Second. Any comments, discussion on our scheduled meetings? Okay, roll call.
Ms. Dona.
Yes.
Mr. Crosser.
Yes.
Ms. Ireland.
Yes.
Ms. Palsek.
Yes.
Ms. Schuman.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes. Okay, number 8, I know I hate to do it, but we do this every year. I'm going to read this in its entirety, and then perhaps the rest of the motions we can move through a little quicker. Number 8 is a recommendation that the board approves the Code of Ethics for School Board, Robert's Rules of Order, and Parliamentary Procedures for all meetings as follows. Code of Ethics for School Board Members, School Ethics Act, Chapter 178, Public Law 2001. Code of Ethics for School Board Members, including discussion. The school board member shall abide by the following Code of Ethics for School Board Members. A, I will uphold and enforce all laws, rules, and regulations of the State Board of Education and court orders pertaining to schools. Desired changes shall be brought about only through legal and ethical procedures. B, I will make decisions in terms of the educational welfare of children and will seek to develop and maintain public schools that meet the individual needs of all children, regardless of their ability, race, creed, sex, or social standing. C, I will confine my board action to policy making, planning, and appraisal, and I will help to frame policies and plans only after the board has consulted those who will be affected by them. D, I will carry out my responsibility not to administer schools, but together with my fellow board members, to see that they are well run. E, I will recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education and will make no personal promises nor take any private action that may compromise the board. F, I will refuse to surrender my independent judgment to special interests or partisan political groups, or to use the schools for personal gain or for the gain of friends. G, I will hold confidential all matters pertaining to the schools which, if disclosed, would needlessly injure individuals or the schools. In all other matters, I will provide accurate information and, in concert with my fellow board members, interpret to the staff the aspirations of the community for its school. H, I will vote to appoint the best qualified personnel available after consideration of the recommendations of the Chief Administrative Officer. I will support and protect school personnel and proper performance of their duties. And J, I will refer all complaints to the Chief Administrative Officer and will act on the complaints at public meetings only after failure of an administrative solution. I make that motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Any comments? Nothing changed there. Please to accept that.
Mr. Crossen?
Yes.
Ms. Arlen?
Yes.
Ms. Palsa?
Yes.
Ms. Schuman?
Yes.
Mr. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes. Okay. I think I will move items 9 through 23 as a block. Item 9 is a recommendation that the board designates New Jersey Herald and Sunday Herald as official newspapers. 10 is a recommendation that the board designates Provident Bank as the official depository. 11 is a recommendation that the board approves the principal petty cash fund for $500 and the superintendent's petty cash fund for $150 as listed. 12 is a recommendation that the board approves the fee structure for photocopies as listed. 13 is a recommendation that the board approves a $3 transcript fee for alumni requests. 14 is recommended that the board approves the following list of board accounts and their signatories, and that is an extensive list. 15 is a recommendation that the board authorizes the use of a signature stamp for the board president, treasurer, and board secretary. Item 16 is a recommendation that the board authorizes the school business administrator board secretary as, I guess I should read these, custodian of Board of Education records for Oprah compliance, chief financial officer and investment officer with approved depositories, public agency compliance officer, purchasing agent with a quote threshold of $17,500, transportation contract threshold of $17,500, and all other bid threshold $44,000. Also, to maintain appropriate bonding as required by state statutes, to make telephone, wire, and electronic transactions of board funds, and to invest board funds at the most advantageous rate in compliance with all state laws and regulations. Item 17 is a recommendation to authorize the school business administrator board secretary in consultation and agreement with the superintendent to process line item transfers in compliance with required approvals per S1701 and A3680 between board meetings through December 31st, 2023. Item 18 is recommendation to authorize the school business administrator board secretary in consultation and agreement with the superintendent to process the payment bills between board meetings in accordance with 18A:19-4.1 through December 31st, 2023. 19 is a recommendation that the board approve all bylaws, policies, and regulations hereby continued in force through December 31st, 2023, subject to revisions as recommended by the superintendent. 20 is a recommendation that the board approves all job descriptions subject to revision as recommended by the superintendent, also through December 31st, 2023. Item 21 is a recommendation the board recognize the following bargaining units and contractual agreements: the High Point Education Association, the High Point Administrators Association. 22 is a recommendation the board authorize the board president or designee to act as board secretary as appropriate. And item 23 is a recommendation the board approves the appropriate bonding of the school business administrator and the treasurer of school monies as required by statute. I'll make that motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Any comments, discussion on, was it 9 through 23?
Question on number 12, just who is paying for the photocopies and other services? What is-
This is, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mingus, this is for Oprah requests, correct? This is what somebody making a public request is required to pay.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Ms. Ireland?
Yes.
Ms. Palasek?
Yes.
Ms. Schuman?
Yes.
Ms. Sedona?
Yes.
Mr. Caraza?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes. We have 2 more items. I'll read them in their entirety. 24 and 25 will move together. 24 is a recommendation that the board approves the following resolution for School Alliance Fund Commissioner effective 2022-2023 school year. Whereas the High Point Regional High School Board of Education, hereafter referred to as the educational facility, is a member of the School Alliance Insurance Fund, and whereas the School Alliance Fund requires a fund commissioner to be appointed for each educational facility, be it resolved that the High Point Regional High School Board of Education appoints the business administrator board secretary as the fund commissioner. Be it further resolved that the educational facilities fund commissioner is authorized and directed to execute such documents as required by the fund's bylaws. And item 25 is recommendation that the board approves the following resolution authorizing contracts with approved state contract vendors for Board of Education pursuant to the NJ statute as listed effectively January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023 as follows. Okay, whereas High Point Regional High School Board of Ed pursuant to New Jersey statutes as listed may by resolution and without advertising for bids purchase any goods or services under the State of New Jersey Cooperative Purchasing Program for any state contracts entered into on behalf of the state by the Division of Purchase and Property in the Department of the Treasury. And whereas High Point Regional High School Board of Education has the need on a timely basis to purchase goods or services utilizing state contracts, and whereas the High Point Regional High School Board of Education intends to enter into contracts with the referenced state contract vendors through this resolution and properly executed contracts, which shall be subject to all the conditions applicable to the current state contracts. Now therefore, be it resolved that the High Point Regional High School Board of Education School Business Administrator shall certify to the availability of sufficient funds prior to the expenditure of funds for such goods or services, and be it further resolved that the duration of the contracts between the High Point Regional High School Board of Education and the referenced state contract vendor shall be effective January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion on those lengthy items? Seeing none.
Ms. Palasek?
Yes.
Ms. Schuman?
Yes.
Ms. Sedona?
Yes.
Mr. Caraza?
Yes.
Ms. Ireland?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes. That brings us to our second and final public comment section of the evening. The same rules apply as for the first section, except they are not limited to agenda items. If there's anybody in person or virtual that would like to make a public comment, we welcome your comments at this time. Anything online? I don't think we need to extend the wait for any. So may I have a motion to close? Public comments?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So, second public comment is closed. We have no other business, but before we continue, or close, you don't see a need for an executive session. I think we can't wait till our, okay? If anyone else feels the need for an executive session at this moment, okay? I will entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting for the evening.
I'll make that motion.
And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. I don't have a gavel.
Thank you.
No,